You know those times in life when everything just slows down? The days feel heavier, the air feels colder, and it's like no matter how hard you push, nothing seems to move forward. It's not just in your head. You've stepped into your winter season. And here's the thing, nobody tells you winter isn't a punishment. It's not proof that you've failed. It's the season that builds you in ways the sunny days never could. We live in a world that celebrates the blooms, the winds, the energy, the momentum. But winter, it gets a bad reputation. We think if life feels cold and still, we must be doing something wrong. But just like in nature, winter is necessary. You can't have a spring without it. And if you fight it, if you try to rush it, you'll miss the gifts it's trying to give you. I've been through those winters myself, the ones where your plans stall, the phone stops ringing, and you feel like the world has forgotten you. You start questioning everything. Am I behind? Did I mess up? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And that's when you need to remember, winter isn't here to break you, it's here to prepare you. This is the season where your roots grow deeper, where you find the kind of strength you don't get when everything's easy. You're not supposed to have it all figured out all the time. And she's right. Winter is the season that reminds you it's okay to slow down, to rest, to let life rearrange itself without forcing it. It's the pause before the comeback, the quiet before the breakthrough. Think about it. Trees don't panic when they lose their leaves. They're not standing there in December saying, "Oh no, I'll never be beautiful again." They know spring is coming. They trust the process. And that's what you need to do right now. Your winter season is not the end of your story, it's the part that makes you ready for the next chapter. So if you're in it, the stillness, the waiting, the quiet, stop running from it. Lean in. Let it teach you. Because when your spring comes, you'll realize the winter was the most important season you ever had. You ever notice how the people who survive the hardest seasons aren't necessarily the ones with the most talent or the most resources? They're the ones who know how to adapt. And here's the truth. Resilience isn't about never falling apart, it's about learning how to put yourself back together again, piece by piece, every single time life knocks you down. When you're in your winter season, you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to feel strong every single day. You just need to keep showing up for yourself. That's it. Resilience is built in the tiny, unglamorous choices you make when nobody's watching. Getting out of bed when you'd rather hide. Making the phone call you've been avoiding. Taking the walk even when it's freezing outside. It's those small wins, stacked on top of each other, that turn into unstoppable momentum. You can't control how you feel, but you can always control what you do. And that one sentence can change everything. Because in winter, you're not going to feel motivated most of the time. You're not going to wake up excited. You might even feel numb. And that's okay. You're not broken. You're just in a season where your emotions are conserving energy. What matters is that you still take action, no matter how small, in the direction you want to go. I've had seasons where I thought I was done, where I truly believed I'd lost my shot. I didn't feel like myself. My confidence was gone, but every day, I forced myself to take one small step, one phone call, one journal entry, one uncomfortable conversation. And slowly, without even realizing it, I was building a stronger version of myself than I'd ever been before. That's what resilience really is. The decision to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. You might think resilience is about being tough all the time. It's not. It's about being honest with yourself. Giving yourself grace when you need it, and then still doing the thing anyway. It's not about ignoring the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the middle of it. The beautiful thing about winter is that it forces you to slow down. And when you slow down, you see things you would have missed otherwise. You see who really shows up for you. You see which habits keep you grounded. You see that you're capable of surviving things you didn't think you could survive. And the best part, every single time you make it through another winter, you start trusting yourself more. You start believing that no matter what comes next, you'll handle it. And let me tell you that belief in yourself is priceless. It's the thing that carries you into your spring season ready to bloom. You don't need to know how you're going to get there. You just need to start. That's it. That's the secret. So if you're in the middle of your winter, stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Just take one small step today, then another tomorrow. Because resilience isn't built in a single big moment. It's built in the thousands of little ones. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize your winter wasn't just something you survived. It was the season that made you unstoppable. You ever notice how in nature winter looks like nothing is happening? But underneath the surface, everything is shifting, preparing, growing. That's exactly what your winter season is doing for you. It might feel like everything has slowed to a crawl. It might feel like you're stuck. But what's actually happening is that you're being prepared for the next chapter of your life, the one you can't quite see yet. And here's the kicker. Growth in winter is rarely loud. It's quiet, it's uncomfortable, and it often looks like nothing at all. The hardest part isn't starting. The hardest part is believing you can keep going when nothing seems to be working. And man, she's right, because winter will test that belief. It will make you question yourself, your path, even your worth. You'll have days when you wake up and think, what's the point? And here's where most people get it wrong. They take that feeling as a sign to stop, but unstoppable people, they take that feeling as a sign to keep going. I know it's tempting to want to rush through this season, to find shortcuts, to force the blooms before the roots are ready, but you can't microwave growth. Winter teaches you patience in the most brutal, beautiful way. It strips away the noise, the distractions, and leaves you with the truth about who you are when there's nothing external propping you up. And that truth is the foundation for everything that's coming next. I've lived through winters where I thought my life had stalled out for good. No opportunities, no forward momentum, just stillness. And you know what I learned? That stillness was where the real transformation was happening. It was where I faced the parts of myself I'd been avoiding. It was where I learned to trust the process, even when I hated the process. And trust me, I did hate it. I wanted instant results. I wanted proof that all my effort meant something. But the proof doesn't show up in winter. It shows up later, when the season changes, and you suddenly realize you've grown stronger than you ever thought possible. Think of winter like the weight room for your mind and spirit. Every challenge you face, every day you choose not to quit, you're adding strength you'll carry into the rest of your life. You're not just surviving this season, you're training in it. And training isn't always fun. It's repetitive, it's exhausting, but it builds you in ways comfort never could. You are one decision away from a completely different life. In winter, that decision is often as small as saying, I'm not giving up today. You make that choice over and over until it becomes who you are. And the magic is, when you finally step into your spring, you're not the same person who entered winter. You're sharper, you're more grounded. You trust yourself in a way that no pep talk or quick win could ever give you. So if it feels slow right now, if it feels quiet, stop thinking that means nothing is happening. Something is always happening. You're building depth. You're planting seeds. And those seeds don't just grow into results, they grow into resilience, clarity, and unshakable self-belief. Here's the truth. Winter doesn't last forever. But the strength you build in winter, that's yours for life. And one day, when the season changes and everything starts moving again, you'll realize the quiet, the stillness, the waiting. It was all worth it. Because winter didn't just prepare you for spring. Winter made you unstoppable. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Winter seasons are not just about waiting them out. They are about becoming someone different while you're in them. This isn't a pause in your life. This is a shaping season. And the shaping hurts because it's pulling you away from old habits, old identities, old crutches you've been leaning on for far too long. The reason it feels heavy isn't because you're broken. It's because you're carrying things that can't come with you into the next chapter. And letting go is hard. It's supposed to be. But that's the work winter demands. You are not supposed to stay the same. You're supposed to outgrow who you were. That's the quiet assignment winter gives you. It strips away all the noise so you're left with just yourself. And at first, that's terrifying. Because now you can see all the patterns you've been avoiding. All the excuses you've been living inside. And here's the raw truth. Until you face them, you can't move forward. That's why unstoppable people use winter differently. They don't waste it hoping it passes quickly. They work inside it. It's easy to think that progress only happens when there's movement you can measure. A promotion, a new relationship, more money. But winter is where invisible progress is made. The kind that nobody sees but that changes everything. This is where you develop grit, where you build the discipline to show up without applause, to push forward without proof. That's what makes you dangerous in the best way. When you can act without external validation, nothing and no one can control your pace. I've been through winters where I wanted to tap out so badly. Days when it felt like I was doing everything right and still getting nowhere. And it was in those exact moments that the real shift happened. Because I realized it's not about the pace, it's about the persistence. Winter asks you, can you keep showing up even when you can't see the results yet? And if you answer yes enough days in a row, you become the kind of person who's impossible to stop. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they can't tolerate the wait. They can't handle the silence. They need proof before they'll commit. But winter doesn't give you proof. It gives you the chance to build yourself into someone who can create proof on their own. That's the secret. That's why when spring finally arrives, people will look at you and think your success came out of nowhere. But you'll know the truth. It came out of winter. Your feelings are not the boss of you. In winter, you have to live that. You're not always going to feel motivated. You're not always going to feel confident. But you still show up. You still move. And every time you do, you're proving to yourself that you're in control, not your emotions. That's how unstoppable people are made. So instead of asking, when will this season end? Start asking, who am I becoming because of it? That's the question that changes everything. That's the mindset that turns the cold, the stillness, the waiting into a training ground for the life you want. Winter isn't stealing your time, it's sharpening you for what's next. And when the next season comes, you won't just be ready, you'll be unrecognizable. In the best way possible. You know what most people do in their winter seasons? They shut down. They start telling themselves, I'll wait until things get better, and in the process they stop living. But here's the truth. Waiting is not living. Winter is not a holding cell, it's a laboratory. And what you choose to do in that lab determines the kind of life you walk into when the season changes. You either use it to grow, or you waste it, and walk into spring exactly the same. And that's the last thing you want, because the world will not reward the version of you who stayed the same through the storm. You're not going to feel motivated most days. You're not going to wake up with a surge of confidence or a perfect plan. You will wake up to gray skies, cold mornings, and no obvious proof that anything you're doing is working. And that's when most people quit. But unstoppable people, they see that as the training ground. They know that if they can move forward with no applause, no guarantees, and no cheering section, then they're building a kind of resilience that will make the next season unstoppable. I've been in winters where everything I tried seemed to lead to nothing. And it was in those seasons that I learned one of the hardest truths. Consistency is more important than intensity. Anybody can show up when they feel inspired. Anybody can give their best when the results are obvious. But can you show up when it feels pointless? Can you keep putting in the work when no one's watching? That's where your future is built. Winter is the perfect time to create habits so strong they run on autopilot. Because when you don't have the extra energy, you learn how to build systems that carry you. This is when you set a morning routine that grounds you. When you start journaling, even if it's just 1 page a day, to keep your mind clear. When you work on the small, unglamorous steps toward your goals, the ones that don't look like much right now, but will create massive impact later. You're building the foundation nobody else will see until you're standing on it. You are one decision away from a completely different life. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's the reality of winter. Every day in this season is a choice. You can choose to numb out, to distract yourself, to wish it away, or you can choose to engage with it, to work with what you have, to do something, anything, that moves you 1 inch closer to where you want to be. And those inches add up. You won't see it day by day, but one morning, you'll realize you've crossed miles without even noticing. Here's something I wish someone had told me years ago. Winter seasons are when you prove to yourself that you can count on you. That's the real win. Not the external success that might come later, but the internal certainty that no matter how hard things get, you will still show up for your own life. That kind of trust in yourself changes everything. It's what makes you magnetic. It's what makes opportunities find you. It's what makes people wonder how you did it. The truth is there's no magic formula for getting through the hard seasons. There's only you, choosing, every single day, to stay in the game. That's how unstoppable people are built. Not in the sunlight, not in the applause, but in the cold, quiet, unseen work of winter. So don't waste it. Make it the season you'll look back on and say, that's when everything changed. Not because the circumstances got better, but because you did. There's something powerful that happens when you stop wishing the hard season away and start asking, what is this here to teach me? Most people spend winter resisting it. They fight the cold, they complain about the darkness, and they tell themselves they'll get moving when it's easier. But that's not how unstoppable people think. They know that the lessons learned in the hard season are the very things that will make the easy season worth living. Winter is where you grow roots so deep that no storm can pull you out of the ground. And here's the catch, those roots aren't visible to anyone else. That's why so many people underestimate. You don't have to feel ready, you just have to start, and that's this season, and waste it. Go exactly the truth about growth in your winter season. You're never in to feel like learning the hard lesson. You're never going to feel excited about confronting the part of yourself that procrastinates, avoids, or shrinks away. But growth demands it. And the thing about lessons in winter is that they don't come with a clear label. They show up as setbacks, disappointments, slow progress, or silence from the world around you. You'll be tempted to think nothing is happening, but something is. You're being shaped. One of the greatest lessons winter teaches is patience, not passive waiting, active patience. The kind where you show up and do the work without expecting the reward to appear right away. That's the kind of patience unstoppable people have. They trust that the seeds that they're planting will grow, even when the soil looks barren. You've got to learn how to keep watering your dreams without demanding proof that they're about to sprout. Another lesson: resilience isn't just bouncing back, it's staying steady in the middle of uncertainty. Winter forces you to see what you're made of. When the easy shortcuts disappear, when motivation fades, when the outcome feels out of reach, can you keep going? Can you lean into the discomfort and work with it instead of against it? That's resilience. That's what will make you unstoppable when the warmth finally returns. And here's the one most people miss. Winter teaches you how to find joy without conditions. If you only allow yourself to feel good when life feels easy, you're handing your happiness over to circumstances you can control. Unstoppable people don't do that. They learn to find the beauty in the small things. A good conversation, a quiet morning, the satisfaction of keeping a promise to themselves. That kind of joy can't be shaken by a cold season. You are never going to feel like it, but your future depends on what you do now. That means the way you live in your winter season is the way you'll step into your spring. If you let yourself go now, you'll wake up months from now, wondering where the time went. But if you lean in, if you treat every challenge like a personal training session for your mind, your spirit, and your discipline, you'll come out of winter unstoppable. I know it's tempting to fast forward through the hard stuff. I mean, it feels unfair that this season is dragging on longer than you thought it would. But what if this season is exactly as long as it needs to be for you to become the person you're meant to be? What if every delay, every no, every moment of silence is actually a part of your training? Because here's the truth. Nobody becomes unstoppable by skipping the hard parts. They become unstoppable because they faced them head on, learned from them, and kept going. And so can you. When you're in your winter season, it's easy to think the goal is simply to survive. But unstoppable people don't settle for survival. They come out of winter training for. They use the lessons, the patience, the resilience, and the joy that they've been cultivating, and they turn all of that into momentum. Because here's the truth: winter is never the end. It's the preparation for the next beginning. And the way you emerge from it determines everything about what comes next. You have to stop waiting for someone to say, no one is coming. It's up to you. That's the mindset that will change everything as you transition out of your winter season. This is the moment to stop looking at what's missing and start working with what's already in your hands. Too many people waste the start of their spring because they're still focused on what they didn't have in winter. They replay the disappointments, the missed opportunities, the struggles. But unstoppable people flip the script. They take inventory of what winter gave them: stronger discipline, clearer vision, sharper instincts, and they put it all to work immediately. Here's something most people miss. Emerging from winter is not about speed, it's about direction. If you blast out of the gate with no plan, you'll burn out. If you chase everything, you'll catch nothing. Unstoppable people know the value of starting small, but starting with focus. They understand that momentum builds in layers, and the first steps after winter matter the most. You've got to decide what's the one thing you're going to move toward right now. Not the 100 things that sound exciting, but the one thing that matters most. The other part of this is energy. Winter can drain you. Even if you've been growing quiet, it can feel like you're starting from a lower tank. That's why unstoppable people prioritize getting their energy back before they try to run at full speed. They take care of themselves, physically, mentally, emotionally, so they can handle the weight of what they're doing. Because here's the thing: the opportunities that are about to come your way will require a stronger version of you than the one who entered winter. You've got to meet that moment ready. And don't think for a second that leaving winter means the challenges disappear. The obstacles just change shape. The difference is, now you're prepared. Winter has already taught you how to stand in the storm without losing your foot. So when you face the next challenge, it won't feel like the end. It'll feel like the next level. That's the gift of going through a hard season with intention. You stop being afraid of the next hard thing because you already know you can handle it. You can't control how you feel. You can always control what you do. That's the attitude that will carry you forward now. Don't wait for the perfect move, the perfect day, or the perfect plan. Start messy. Start scared. Start before you feel ready. The energy you're looking for will meet you in motion. This is your turning point. You've spent the winter building the kind of strength most people never see. You've done the quiet, invisible work that nobody claps for. Now it's time to take that strength and use it to create something extraordinary. Not in a rush, not in desperate, but with steady, intentional action that moves you toward the life you've been dreaming about. Winter didn't break you, it made you unshakable. And now it's your